Got a couple people in here. I'm going to wait a couple minutes. Just let people come in. Hello, Cassie. That was a very excited hello. Just finishing up lunch? All right, perfect. So this should be a pretty fun session. I've got some pictures to show, as well as some like improvised decor items that I have made, as well. Excuse me, as well as a couple different things for like ideas. So it should be a fun chat. I'm just going to give a couple minutes, let some more people filter in. We do have half an hour, but if this talk, unfortunately, I have to be on to. Oh, actually, there's nothing after me. So if we run a little bit late, that should be okay. That should be okay. But I anticipate I'll be able to cover most everything in half an hour, unless there's a lot of questions. Who all's here? And what's been your favorite thing so far today? Well, we're waiting. Oh, thanks, Cassie. Yeah, unfortunately, because of the lights, like the overhead light and the light on my tank, I'm getting a lot of glare, so you guys won't be able to see very nicely. But I do have pictures to share of my tank. It'll make more sense once I get there. But I appreciate that. Yeah, my tank's very colorful in comparison to a lot of the tanks you guys would have seen in other sessions. So it's very colorful, kind of fairy garden-esque with the purple and orange plants. So yeah. We got a couple more minutes, so unless you guys want me to get started, I can definitely get started. Yeah, it seems like a lot people are divided whether or not they like color. Hi, Abby. I was surprised when I didn't see you. Yeah, so people seem to be quite surprised when they see my tank in comparison to, say, Mary Akers' tank, Jeannie's tank, for instance. Jeannie likes using a lot of natural stuff. So when they see my tank and it's like bright, pops of color everywhere, people kind of have mixed reviews as to whether or not they like my approach. Everything is safe, so it's safe as long as you're using safe materials. Either option is plausible, but again, just making sure you're using safe materials. How are you today, Jeannie? I loved your talk this morning. All right, so I'm not sure how many more people are going to filter in, but we're at about start time, so I'm going to get started, and people are welcome to just kind of come in. So this talk right now, so I named it Avoiding Crab Tank Envy and Decorating to Make Your Tank Your Own, because I think every single one of us have experienced crab tank envy at some point. What I mean by that is we see those big 125-gallon tanks. We get a little bit jealous. I know I get jealous. Unfortunately, I'm limited to what will fit on my wall here and on my stand. So I'm almost maxed out for size. I'm actually going to be rearranging my room so that I can put a tank beside it and hopefully upgrade. But that's a when I have money kind of project, probably like 9-10 months from now. But we see those big tanks, we get really, really jealous. Oh yeah, Darcy's tank makes everyone jealous. I agree with Kelsey. But not everyone can be Darcy, who has a whole room dedicated. Some of us do have other things to prioritize, like a place to sleep. But yes, for sure. So I thought to kind of help you guys out so you're not quite so jealous, even of my tank, show you where I started. So I actually have some photos that I'm going to share of where my crab tank started in September of 2020, where I thought I knew what I was doing. And Abby will probably remember those photos because she helped me turn my tank around full 180. But for some of you, this will be a real eye-opener that I didn't always start this way. I wasn't always keen on enrichment. My tank was not always this beautiful tank that you see now that I'm proud of. So let's get started with that. Give me 1 second. And you all should be able to see this beautiful picture on the top here. Just let me know everyone can see that. All right, perfect. Everyone can see it. So when we're looking at this tank, this was actually a 10-gallon tank. I was informed by the pet store. I know, shame, shame. Got my crabs from the pet store before I knew better. I was informed by the pet store that my crabs, even full grown, would maybe live a couple years, and I would only need, okay, get ready for it, 2.5 gallons per crab. So they tried telling me I could fit 4 crabs in this tank. Thankfully, I had something in that didn't add up for me. So I said 2 crabs because I know they're social creatures and they do better with a buddy. But I personally do not think that 2.5 gallons is big enough. I want to do a little more research. So this was a tank they started in. So that you can see there's a hemp. I'm not sure how clear that photo is coming through for all of you, but hopefully it's clear enough. Cassie, that's interesting. The pet store told you that males have bigger pinchers. Yeah, the pet store also tried to sell me on hermit crab pellets, and I had done some research ahead of time. So as you can see, I actually had 6 inches of substrate, which was probably one of the only things I was doing right initially. I did have a stuck on heat mat on the back of my tank that actually so this tank was really janky. So let me go through and show you some more pictures and kind of talk about what was wrong with it and things that I improved as I learned. Because as I said, everybody starts a little bit differently. So yeah, that's a good point, Stacy. So the fact that they can lose claws and regrow completely invalidates size, indicating anything. So I was sold this lovely, disgusting hemp grass mat that you see hung along the back wall. It didn't last 3 days in my tank before it was covered in white mold. I boiled that thing, I think probably 3-4 times in my mom's huge Dutch oven in heavily salted water. And every time it would just mold. It ended up going in the garbage, and I've never been happier to be rid of something in my life. So every time I see people who are looking and asking about them in the group, I'm like, just avoid them. Find hang anything else. Do not hang them. You'll cry trying to deal with mold with them. So you can see I did have a cuttle bone in there. So I did know calcium was important for them. However, this food dish, you can't see it very well, but I did not know that they needed protein. So for probably about the first couple weeks, they were eating pieces of fruit. I did have some dried bugs in there, but not nearly enough. It was bad. It was really, really bad. Yeah, so grass mats, as Darcy said, work well in toppers, as long as they're away from substrate and water. So they are great additions as long as they're not near water sources. This tank, it was unavoidable. You guys can probably also see that there's not very much cover for them. So I did not see my crabs at all initially. I was like, well, this is a boring pet. Never see them. Probably because they were scared. The entire tank is open. Also, those 2 shells on the substrate, your eyes are not deceiving you. Those are the only 2 shells I had for them that were extra. And they are actually not appropriate shells. My crabs could not get their butts in them if they tried. So don't be me. That's why we're here. We're here to learn, right? So don't be me. I did have a moss pit, so I did find some good information, but you can see I don't have a gauge and I don't have a thermostat for my heat mat. So this is a good way. So I'm going to go through, I think I have 10 pictures and we can see how I got better. Exactly. So the most important thing is being open to learning. And I will always say we all start somewhere. And as long as you are someone who is open to suggestions and willing to work to make your tank everything that it should be, you're doing better than any. Stacy started worse than this. Yeah, so this was my initial tank. So this was actually the top view. I added those plants thinking that they'd be strong enough. I had one crab that got stuck in the water pool for a couple hours, but these pools weren't even deep enough that they could submerge, so they could easily, thankfully, scale the walls. of the pools, I was smart enough to think, hey, what happens if these pools leak? So this black rim around the pools was actually a takeout container that these dishes fit inside. And then, so this was my original tank layout, just the top view. Then I found out, hey, they need shells. So I express ordered a whole bunch from Naples Seashell Company, which was so expensive to Canada, so expensive. Because I'm like, I need shells like yesterday. So I had them express shipped to me in 3 days, which was like $100 shipping on top of my order. So ouch. Canadians bleed money. Yeah, Abby's right. Canadians bleed money for this hobby. So you can see it's a little bit better. I've got a shell shop in there. There's more variety. You can see there's, it looks like some sort of protein source, probably like some dried crickets or something. There's eggshell, there's some fruit. So we got a little bit more variety. So we're getting a little better. This is about when Abby reached out to me and actually pointed me in the direction of Lycos, Crab Street Journal, and Crab Central Station. So everybody should applaud Abby. She's the real MVP, because I would not be presenting today if she hadn't pointed me in the right direction. So with Abby's help, I modified my tank. So I had lots and lots more coverage, as you can see, but I did not know about avoiding rust in my tank. So these are dollar store plants with stems with metal in them. So shun. But as I said, we all start somewhere. So this is still an improvement. You can't see it very well, but there are actually at this point plastic mesh ramps into the pools so they can get in and out. I have like different hides, things for them to climb. I tried to make the most of the small space because unfortunately money was tight and I didn't realize the money sink that setting up an actual tank would be. It took me about 6 to 8 months to put myself on the right track to getting them put into this beautiful 39-gallon behind me. So this tank was actually reviewed by Darcy and her girls. Darcy would probably remember this tank because I submitted it to them. I was so proud, and all they gave me was shining reviews. Like, they were so kind to me in my learning. I probably asked them 300 questions and messaged them on YouTube, on their Instagram. I had so many people that helped me. Such a great community we have. So this was the bottom down view. You can see I have much deeper pools with filters. They finally got the benefit of a wheel. I had a dedicated worm castings dish. So this actually, that stone hide you saw in the initial pictures is actually in behind this plant wall. And this was a shower shelf that fell like 2 weeks later because unfortunately in the high humidity, the supports did not hold and it came tumbling down, and I cried just a little bit because my raised up shell shop, which so there's an overhead view, but my stepdad actually then aided me in building this beautiful hide here in the corner. So this is a 3D printed hide. It is a lot bigger than it looks, and you can still see it in behind me. I'm not sure how well you guys can see it. But it is actually 7 inches by 7 inches by 9 inches tall. It is huge, and the openings on it are 3 inches in diameter. So my crabs will need to be very big before they don't fit inside of it. And he has already promised me when they get to that size, he'll print me another one. So if you don't have a 3D printer, find someone who does and keep it hostage. That's my advice. So as you can see here, at this point, I am still using, let me go back for a second. I was using a janky, for lack of better words, aquarium hood that I had modified with chloroplast to fill any gaps. Like, it was terrible. We need the hermit crab version of Cribs from MTV. I agree. So then, as you can see, I still have the metal wire, stemmed plants, which I know shun, but this tank is still worlds ahead of where I was when I initially started. So if this kind of puts things in perspective and is like, hey, you should be proud of what you have accomplished if your crabs are thriving rather than always aspiring to have someone else's tank. I don't know what does, because my tank has had such a glow up. Then actually, I don't know if you guys can see him, but that's Peeves in the hammock. I didn't realize he was in the picture. So, but I then changed the layout because I found that having the wheel up against the wall of my tank where they can go into the wheel and they're not so clearly viewed. I'm sorry, my dog's being a moron at the window. So I apologize if you hear him in the background. I've tried to keep him quiet, but he likes to bark at traffic. So please ignore him. Which my wheel is actually hooked to, there are pictures on my Instagram, and I'd be happy to, I unfortunately don't have the link to the Instagram, but anyone who's interested, you can message me and I'll send you the link to the post that like shows pictures of how I attached it to the egg crate. I actually made a plastic washer out of like the top of a Tupperware, like a butter container, so that it fit around the pulley, and then I zip tied that to the egg crate and passed the, like, cut a hole for the like spinny system. I know, techie words. Through, and then put that through the egg crate and then use the washer to hold it in place and zip tied it. It looks really janky, but it functions and my crabs can't knock it over. I'm all about function over beauty. So, yeah. And I did end up hooking some mesh all the way around it. My stepdad uses power tools because he doesn't trust me with them, which is probably a smart idea. And I hooked craft mesh all the way through it. So yeah. And then this was the addition of my first topper. So any of you that have luck with like hemp grass mats, coconut huts, I am so envious of you, because anything like that I put in my tank, and I'm talking my tank, my max humidity sits at maybe 83, 84, and that's because during the summer we get real humid summers. During the winter it's dry. I cannot have enough moss pits. Yep, they wreck. Stacy's right. They wreck your tank and make you cry. Doesn't matter. You can make it super pretty. They will just destroy it anyways. But even with my humidity is managed. Like max I let it get to is maybe 85 on a super humid, like heat warning day here. And anything that I put in, like coconut hides, surprisingly, my jute rope climbs and ladders from Ginny's shop and from Chantel Canadian Crabitat have not molded, but I don't know. Everything else seems to mold. That's of natural fibers in my tank. I have springtails, actually. My friend Piper sent me springtails and isopods, but I have not seen them in the month since they've been in there, so I might have to get her to send me some more. And then this is the tank that you see behind me. So this is a much more blown up view. Please ignore my gauge. I had just done tank maintenance. So I promise you my humidity does not sit at 59 all the time. I am smarter than to let it sit there with my crabs in the tank. I promise. So thank you, Jeff. So I actually love you guys and your ability to set up these naturalistic tanks. That's 100% not my style. My style is whimsy and color, which probably makes sense for anyone who kind of has gotten a feel for my personality. I'm kind of a bubbly, energetic, peppy person. So having a tank that kind of reflects my personality, I look in it and I smile. So yeah. So I actually ended up moving my saucer. Thanks, Kim. Kim said I have a great outflowing energy. Yeah, that's probably how I managed to socialize till 3 o'clock in the morning last night and still be here for before 9 to help run the conference, because what is sleep? So I actually ended up moving my saucer into my topper, and as you can see here, so I actually have a camera here, and then I have another camera that sits on top of my topper. When I go to do an upgrade, I'm looking to secure my camera in such a way that they can't knock it like this, because if you look closely, you can see it's pointing at the wall. My favorite thing is when my crabs knock it off of the angle that I have it positioned on, and suddenly I get footage staring at the wall of my tank. It's lovely. Then I have like I actually started putting my food dishes up here. I've had my essentials dish lasts fine up there. I found that because it's above my pools, the other one was molding, which should have made perfect sense to my brain, but unfortunately, sometimes my brain farts. So I actually have Cuttlebone here. I have bird toys. So actually, it might be easier. I have an entire basket. If you guys want me to show you some of like the stuff that I have thrifted over the years and modified, give me 1 second. I'm just going to mute my mic real quick and see about dealing with this dog real quick because he's being crazy. Sorry, I'm having my mom put the dog in his crate so that he stops barking at traffic so you guys don't have to hear him scream in the background. So I apologize for that. He was fine until my session, I swear. Otherwise, he would have been dealt with. So I apologize for that. So I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen, and instead, if you guys want to see some cool... I'm not sure if you guys heard my mom go, Kilo, seriously, stop. Your mom's on call in the background. So my mom is the real MVP. I know, dogs will be dogs. So I do have a whole bunch of things that I've like thrifted from thrift stores and things that I've built. If you guys want to see like some examples of some things that I've built that are like relatively inexpensive things, because this is all about decorating your tank as well. Okay, perfect. So one of my things, so when people are asking about like how can we decorate our tanks for holidays, I always say window clings, vinyl window clings. These will not damage your tank. You can stick them on your tank. I personally love butterflies and I love colors, so this fits the theme of my tank. I bought about 50 of these for $14. I probably have enough. I could ship one to all of you and still have too many. So window clings. I absolutely love them, 100%. Try and get ones that, so I keep them on my tank all the time because I don't like the look of Post-it notes over molt tunnels. Some people will leave molt tunnels, some people will cover them. It's about a 50-50 shot whether or not I cover them. But these ones are dark enough that if I do decide to cover them, it's something pretty that I don't have to look at the eyesore of a Post-it note. However, Post-it notes also work. So it's one thing. So anyone who's in my talk yesterday, someone... Oh, thank you, Stacy, for pointing Lynn in the right direction, because I was surprised she wasn't in here. Molt caves. That's what I call them. I call them molt windows, molt caves. I was actually super distracted during Darcy's talk because right behind her head, there was 2 molt caves, and I kept on watching them move. So, yeah, they're cheap and easy. And Kelly, so cheap and easy. The other thing is, if you're one that likes to decorate your tank for holidays, you can get snowflakes for the winter. You can get hearts for Valentine's Day. You can get shamrocks for St. Patty's Day. Whatever holiday you celebrate, I'm sure they may even have Hanukkah stickers. Like whatever holiday you celebrate, I'm sure you can find window clings for it because businesses will use them and stuff, and they are very inexpensive. Yeah, Cenobita Curiosities sells one that says brown frowns make me smile, I think, and they're super adorable. I absolutely love it. So if you guys were in my session yesterday, you would remember somebody asked me what unfortunately I was not located at home, so I did not have access to like the bin of enrichment that I'd prepared for today and tomorrow. So because unfortunately I was using my grandmother's Wi-Fi, so she was helping me out getting online, but I did not have access. So I was trying to pick the one item that I could easily explain online. And that was this particular one here, my beautiful little colorful boot. This is actually a candle holder that I have modified by siliconing some river rock into it, so that it's not deep, that my crabs can get stuck in it. It's literally like 1/2 inch deep. And I made sure like it is fully glazed like a ceramic mug, so they can't pick the paint on it. Like I can do this all day and it's not going to damage it. It's also quite weighty, so they're not going to be able to knock it over. But there's enough room at the top that I can put a light layer of moss and I can grow mung beans or chia in it. And I put it up next to my, so it's heavy enough they can't easily knock it over. Maybe when they're jumbos they'll be able to, but they can't easily knock it over. And I put it up against the egg crate background and they climb in it. My guys have no problem. If I got babies, I'd have to probably find some way to help them get into it. But unfortunately, being in Canada, that's not currently an option for me. Sadness. So this is actually, I can't take credit for this idea. Piper uses small, like little shot glass sized teacups that you can purchase that are like things people will collect them for like their little teacup collections. And she will silicone the saucer and the teacup together and use them as food dishes. So these ones are actually Christmas tree ornaments that I found. So I have 2 of them. One's in my tank and currently holding a mixture of green sand, worm castings, and yeah, so I love small footprint stuff. So my base tank, Kim, is actually so if you know the dimensions of a standard 20 long, which is 30, so 2.5 feet by 1 foot, my tank is the same floor dimensions, but 25 inches tall to make the extra gallon. So it's a weird size. But yeah, so I put my green sand, calcium mix, and worm castings into here, and my crabs love it. And it's not big enough that they can get stuck. But my one guy will literally perch himself on the edge of it and sit there all night and eat from them. So I have 2 of those. So if you're, yeah, so back to school window clings would be out now. So that's a cool idea as well. So as I said, I can't take credit for that idea. Piper or Jungle Rescues on Instagram actually started doing that, and I stole the idea from her. So I can't take credit for this teacups idea. So I will always say almost everyone can benefit from the sorry, my one crab is tapping the glass somewhere in the tank, and I was hoping that he was there for you guys. So I always say every crab tank will benefit with a moss pit at some point. So this is a $1.25 at Dollarama. It's a soap dish, and it is solid, about 6 inches. People with babies could probably use it as a shell shop for the little guy's shells. You could use it as a foraging dish, as a food dish. I'm all about being cheap while finding things that are functional. So that's a good idea as well. What else do I got? So terracotta pots make great hides. I would caution to keep them off the substrate because they are porous. I learned that the hard way, and your sub underneath will get very wet. So they're great for like toppers and things as long as you have a way to secure them so they don't fall. But keep in mind that they are porous. Okay. And because of that, I would probably recommend soaking them in primed water to make sure, and then fully drying them before you put them in the tank. So actually, I have another picture for you guys that I'll share on my screen because it's in my tank, but this is something that I built. This is prime example. When you walk through a store, think about, can my crabs use these materials? Because this cost me $3 and people ask me all the time how I built it. So give me 1 second. I'll share it for you. So this is actually, it's a lot longer than this, but it's a ladder that I built that's about this long. So actually what it's made out of is little wiffle balls that I bought at the dollar store. I think it was a pack of 6 or 8 of them. And then I zip tied it to, I bought an extra pack. So this is in case I want to build another one. But these came out at terracotta. What would I put underneath it? So I would recommend putting it off the substrate altogether. So probably like a topper that if you're going to use terracotta, simply because it's porous. So that would be my only caution, is that because it is clay, it is porous. But yeah, so I can't not think of crabs when I shop. Yeah. So these are actually Easter children's bracelets that I found. And then I just zip tied them through the holes, the holes of the balls. And then the springs that you see, I unfortunately don't have any extras, but they were left over from another project that I did that you'll see in my talk tomorrow. I just can't pull it out very easily out of my tank. But there's a suspended platform in my tank that I use them along the edges for like something else for them to climb on. But they're cat springs, like plastic cat springs. Another thing would be, this is a bird foraging ball, so you could put leaf litter in here, lichens, things for them to pick out. That's another idea. I think I bought this on Amazon, was very inexpensive, 2 of them in a pack. Anything that I have, if you guys are super curious about it, shoot me a message, I can send you a link. Not an issue. And then of course, like Legos or Duplo is safe for our tanks. So I bought a whole little pack for okay. I bought a whole pack at the dollar store for like $4 of like knockoff Duplo. Of course, I got to mention egg crate or light diffuser panel. This actually comes in huge sheets. Like I think it's 2x4 or 4x4 sheets. And they can climb this very easily. However, as they were saying in the babies talk, if you have babies, I would probably say, because they're so tiny and they can get stuck, probably you can affix, give me a second here. I am ready. Plant tiles, so craft mesh, or when people say boxwood tiles, this is what they mean. Boxwood tiles, you can buy these at the dollar store, a couple bucks. And they're 1 foot by 1 foot. And then I built a little mirror for my guys. Like I have tons and tons of stuff. This is another thing. So you'll see these all the time, used for hermit crabs. So I think it was Evie from Hermit Harbor that sent out these nets with the swag last year. I put it around my globe, and then I siliconed river rocks to the bottom because my guys had troubles climbing in and out. Oh, sorry. I'm still sharing my screen. So sorry. Give me 1 second. Is that better for you? All right, perfect. Sorry. So you've got that there. And it looks like it's super dirty, but I just have different colored river rocks in there. I've actually grown chia in this a couple times. And my crabs absolutely love it. So that's perfect. Yeah, so Lynn says there's plastic manipulatives that you can use for like teaching kids math that you can buy in bulk packs, like 100 of them. And they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. She was telling me last night during a social chat, actually. So after CrabCon ended, we hung out for way too late in social chats. And she was saying you can even get them in like teddy bear, star shapes. So that's a super cool idea. Keep teachers and stuff in your back pocket. They're very helpful people. 2 of mine came to me in shelves that were right at 3. Stacy, it's more so I don't know how to sleep. So if there's other people that also don't want to sleep, I'm probably gonna stay up till 3 a.m. like I did last night. I'm still functioning though. I'm still here. So I have a whole bunch more enrichment for tomorrow's talk. I don't want to spoil it all, but because this one's supposed to be like more so DIY stuff, but I do have stuff that I bought that's super cool. And somebody asked about thanks, Abby. Yeah, stop tattling on me to Stacy that I was up super late. Okay. But somebody asked how I secured the mirror. So this is just a little compact mirror that I just cut plastic mesh to be a little bit bigger, and then I zip tied around it. You can also buy mirrors. I think Cenobita Curiosities builds mirrors similar to this. And that I built this one. Oh, Katie, you'll have to try and come and join me and chat till stupid o'clock in the morning tonight, okay? That's your mission, should you choose to accept it. I'll be around. So if anybody has enrichment talks, I can almost guarantee you as soon as I finish eating dinner, I'll just be back on here because, yeah, so. Perfect. Come join me. Ask me any questions. I am always happy to talk enrichment. Did anybody have any further questions? I'm happy to answer questions. I do have another session I have to be in at 2:30, so I do have to pop off at about 2:15 because I am helping moderate Cindy reading another book. So go check that one out after my session. So my globe here, I actually use, give me 1 second, I'll pull one out of my tank. Give me a second. So I actually pulled a lot of this out of my tank. So my crabs are not very happy with me that that their tank is partially dismantled as far as whatchamacallit, for my talks, that I pulled a lot of their decor out. So they're not very happy with me, but I did give them extra snacks to make it up to them. They have a little Krabby buffet for the weekend. So I found a pack of these for $2 at a thrift store, brand new in the package. They're little baby teething rings, like you'd use to hook things to a stroller. So I actually hang a lot of stuff off the egg crate using these. They'd be 100% like food safe because little babies put them in and out of their mouth. So yeah, that's an idea as well. You can also get bird links, which I intend on purchasing a big pack in all sorts of different colors. And they're a little bit smaller. I think they're closer to about 1 inch, and you can do that. So Lynn asked if we could use mouthwash bottles, caps. My only fear would be because it's a chemical bottle cap. I don't know how safe it would be in the crab tank. Yeah, so shower curtain rings would work well as also. And you can probably get a pack of those for like at next to nothing at the dollar store, plastic rings. So the globe with the rocks, I actually attached the rocks using aquarium silicone. I found out later that 100% silicone from the hardware store is a lot cheaper than a tube that's this big for $17 on Amazon of dedicated aquarium silicone. So learn from my mistakes. So plastic organizers will be on sale at Target for back to school. Good to know for anybody who's looking for organization for their crab food or for stuff for in their tanks. Thanks, Lynn. Any other questions for that? Of course. Enrichment's my passion, so you'll never ask me questions that I'm unwilling to answer. I'm happy. If you guys are all having fun, then I'm doing my job. And I think that Stacy and Mary would probably agree if you're all having fun. You'll want to talk late tonight. Honestly, I'm always around and I'm pretty good at multitasking. So this is another thing that was in my basket here. So bark and challah wood. I have a whole bunch of bark pieces that were sent to me by my friend Piper with my isopods that it's been a month and a half and I haven't seen any of them. So I might have to beg her to send me more. That's okay. She's thankfully in Canada. So if I send her shipping, she has plenty. She'll probably send me more. And then challah wood was sent to me by Chantel. So also in Canada. So I try and source what I can from Canada to avoid shipping. Abby, stop picking on me. Yes, you're right. I don't sleep. So Best way to get in touch with me during the conference, you can message me on Facebook. My name's the same as it is here, Dakota Van Rooy. I have an Instagram account, so it's Oz, AWES. Here, I'll put it in the chat for you. For anyone who wants to follow me, and it's dedicated to my crabs, and you can like check out videos of my crabs doing things. So that is my handle. I know it's super dorky, and so that is my Instagram handle. And I've pinned it for you guys if you guys want to check it out. So yeah, you can message me on Facebook. I'm pretty much your average millennial. I am pretty much always attached to my phone, so you will likely get a response. This weekend, maybe not so fast because I'm also helping behind the scenes. So yeah. Yeah. So I believe if you click on my name in Hopin, it will also give you a direct link to my Instagram. I did that on purpose because I knew people would ask how to get in contact with me afterwards. That Instagram, while I may not always be posting on it, I try to. I've been really busy the last couple weeks with CrabCon prep and that, and I'm sure Mary and Stacy would echo that. I do check my messages very frequently, so you can message me there. And I love getting pictures and videos sent to me of people's tanks. So you will never bother me. If you have a cool enrichment idea you want to show off to me, 100% send it to me. But I think if there's no more questions, I'm going to go see about... Thank you, Aquila. She says I'm great and she wants to come hang out with me. I need more friends in Canada. That's the truth of the matter. I always joke that Abby is mad because I was dating a boy briefly that lived in the same city Abby was in. I met his parents and did not go and visit her. So she was very upset when she found out that his parents practically live around the corner from her, and I did not visit her. So she is still upset with me. She lives 3 hours away, so maybe a road trip is in order. Was there any further questions? I do have another talk specifically on enrichment tomorrow, and that's an hour-long talk. So if you think of anything and you can't catch me, tomorrow I'll be showing off more enrichment stuff, and I will be here enjoying the weekend, and that will follow my talk at 2 o'clock tomorrow. So I actually have a talk specifically on enrichment, what enrichment is, how to enrich your tank. So definitely check that out, and then that will probably prompt a whole bunch more questions. So I will be available after that for question and answer as well. So, and I do have more enrichment stuff to show off. It's never-ending pile. All right. But if there is no more questions, I'm going to head over to my next session. I'm helping Cindy with some moderation for her session. And she's already been sending me messages. Where are you? How do I get into my session? So I might want to go help her. All right, guys, take care, and I will see you around. Again, if you need to reach me, for sure, send me a message. I'm always happy to chat. Okay. Take care, guys.